Mr. Corman, I'm a huge fan. Literally, I mean, I've been watching your films on Epix Drive-In. They've been running a lot.
Yes.
Which is a great way to get reacquainted with them, and I've got most of them on video. Personal note, I run a festival, film festival, up in Fargo, and I faxed you last year. We named an award after you.
Yes, I remember that.
The Achievement Filmmaker Award. So I wanted to make sure that was okay with you. We went and did it anyway, but I thought hopefully you'd be honored if we gave it to a good filmmaker.
I'm honored and delighted.
You've been very prolific, obviously, and I think the only film you said in your autobiography you lost money on was The Intruder with William Shatner.
With Bill Shatner. Now, the funny thing is, we made the film in 1960. In about 2003 or 4, or something like that, Bill and I did a commentary for a DVD version, and the film finally broke even off the DVD version.
Never give up, right?
Right.
Well, what are you currently working on?
Well, primarily, of course, Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader. It's the first film I've ever done in 3D, which made it very interesting. The actual shooting isn't that more difficult than you would think. The main thing is the fact that you're working with two lenses, and you have to adjust your two lenses for the distance, and so that they match perfectly. And that takes a fair amount of time, which slows down your shooting. But once you've got, the trouble is you have to do this for each shot. But once you've got that, it's just shooting as with a normal camera.
I'm sorry, monopolizing. I'm a filmmaker too, so I understand that what you're talking about. Is your editing style different than 3D? You have to slow the editing pace down a little bit? We
do slow it down slightly. We will hold a shot normally, not much, a second or even half a second long. Yes, just because if you cut from one shot to another, in 3D, there's a little bit of an adjustment your eye has to make. So we just allow a little more time on the screen for the eye to make that adjustment.
Can you tell us a little bit about Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader?
All right. This film, as with every film of this type, starts with a scientific experiment that goes wrong. If it didn't go wrong, there'd be no picture. And what it amounts to is Cassie, the girl played by Jenna Sims, who plays the lead, is a wannabe cheerleader who isn't quite that good looking. And she has a friend who's working in a chemical lab, and he thinks he's developed something that can make her better looking. It makes her better looking, it makes her beautiful, but the side effect is she grows to 50 feet tall. Now, so therefore, we start with this unattractive girl, normal size, and then she becomes beautiful. She's 50 feet tall, and another cheerleader, jealous but not aware of the growth, takes the same thing so she will look more beautiful, and she does, and they both end up 50 feet tall for our big climax, which is a fight between the two 50-foot cheerleaders in the football stadium, in which we have two versions. One of which they inadvertently tear the tops off their cheerleading costumes. Now, we feel there is a market somewhere for somebody who might want to see that.
The question always, where would 50-foot tall women find clothes?
Oh, they wrap themselves in a banner, as I recall, a couple of banners, and because the banners are two different ones, the top can be torn off and the bottom remains. So we have the other version, of course, in which it's not torn off. So according to your taste, you can see it either way.
One will be on sci-fi, the other one will be on Epix.
Well, the one on Epix I think it shows August 23rd of this year, and that will be the one which which will be topless. And we're still working. We just finished the film a few days ago, as a matter of fact. The clothed version we're still working on, and that'll probably be 2 months more of work to do that.
Now you, throughout your career, have made a name for low-budget, great films. What do you think of the huge, mega, $250 million extravaganzas? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's overkill?
Well, I would take this.
Oh, sure.
Who knows? I'll take a book. Right. It depends on who's making it. For instance, one of our graduates, Jim Cameron, made the most expensive picture ever made at the time, Titanic. Then he broke his record and made the most expensive picture, Avatar. But when you look at Avatar and you look at Titanic, you say, yes, I can understand why these pictures cost that much money, because they're phenomenal looking pictures. So in that case, when somebody who knows what he's doing, like Jim, spends this giant amount of money, you're going to see it on the screen. What I object to is somebody who spends $90 million and it's two people walking around the room, and you say, wait a minute, what happened to the money here?
After Detective Fish, Woman, you have a series of other films coming up?
We're working on a film called Ghost of the Imperial Palace, which we shot in China. I saw a picture of a great set built by the Chinese National Television Network of an imperial palace, and I thought it was one of the best looking sets I'd ever seen. So I contacted a studio in the town, Guangzhou, where this set was, and then I wrote a 3-page outline for Ghost of the Imperial Palace, which features the Imperial Palace, needless to say.
Are you using Chinese actors, or is it?
We sent over 4 American actors, and then we used 2 Anglo actors from Hong Kong, but all the other actors are Chinese, and the picture, of course, we shot in English. So, and we designed it, needless to say, so that most of the dialogue is given to the Americans. But there's a fair amount from the Chinese, and we found some very good Chinese actors. There's one beautiful Chinese actor who plays the murdered concubine who comes back as a ghost. So, pardon? Say I forgot. It's a Chinese name, and I forgot. That film will take a little bit longer because there are a lot of special effects for the ghost, and you're using a Chinese special effects company, and they're a little bit slower than the American. But I'm very optimistic about that.
Have you ever been tempted to make a big blockbuster, expensive movie?
The thought has occurred to me, but since I back my films with my own money, and I don't have that kind of money, there isn't any way I can reasonably do it.
Has anyone ever approached you? Say, hey, you got to make films for the cheap, here's $100 million?
I've been approached a couple of times by major studios, and I've made a couple of pictures on reasonably big budgets.
I remember Frankenstein Unbound.
Yes, that cost a little bit more. But I remember a studio at one time was considering me for a huge picture, and they ultimately decided I didn't know how to spend that much money. They chose somebody else. And I said, geez, I can spend that much money. It's not that tough.
You can just make 12 movies with it.
Yeah.
You make you a trilogy.
Right.
There you go. Now, you're also famous for the Corman School of Filmmaking. Is that still going?
That is still going. Kevin O'Neill, who directed this picture and did the special effects, I think is a very good upcoming director. And we've got another, and Jenna Sims, who plays the lead in this picture, I think is an excellent and beautiful actress who has great potential. And we have another film called called Virtual Heroes with a new young director, G.J. Eckenkamp, a tough word to spell, who is shooting a film now, which is a war picture with a kind of a twist, and I don't want to give the twist away. And I think G.J. is a very good director as well.
Is there a film of yours that's kind of your favorite that you've made?
Maybe The Intruder, the one I mentioned that I did with Bill Shatner, which was my first film that lost money, and I think I mentioned we finally broke even with the DVD version.
I seem to remember from your book you thought it was important to do the film at the time.
Yes, it had to do with racial integration in the American South, and I thought it was an important subject. So I gambled. I guess I'm moving on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.